Should we just keep talking and then we'll do an intro and I'll cut it together? Or how do you want to do this?
Well, now I feel like we have to do an intro, and then go into.
I feel like this is the intro.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up,
guys?
Welcome to
Behind the Scenes of Our Best Days.
This is season
4. As you
We're
can see.
really grateful to be season. And
Yeah.
here's some things that, as we have learned throughout the seasons, is
boy.
that there is and we're actually going to hit on this.
This
today,
is the topic today, for sure.
There is a secret curriculum to this podcast, and what is a secret curriculum? Because every organization, marriages, friendships, relationships, life, what is secret curriculum?
It is a updated way to refer to the School of Hard Knocks. That term is so overused, but basically, anytime, particularly in ministry, but it applies to business, marriage, friendship, whatever, there's like stuff you learn along the way that you could not possibly learn from being told in a classroom.
Right. Okay. So when you go to college, no one tells, like, it is understood that if I guess it's an awareness. It
like
is a
hygiene is a secret curriculum.
Hygiene. You should not tell people.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah. You shouldn't be like, hey, you have halitosis. Don't ever talk to me again.
Right.
It is also kind of like, oh man, I have bad breath, and this is socially unacceptable, especially if I am an elevator operator. Which is an outdated profession.
No, sure, but that's
go
right.
with me here on this allegory
Yeah.
that is like, I'm an elevator operator. I'm in closed spaces, and I don't wear deodorant. I have halitosis. It's going to be miserable for everyone. I may get fired. Even if I'm great at my job, I may get fired from the secret curriculum of, hey, we didn't think we had to tell you this, but you should wear deodorant, and then you should have a surgery to remove literal crap from your mouth. Anyways, so
no, totally there.
There's so like Disney, they have a secret curriculum.
That's right, sure.
Of just things that if you are their people that they have are not called employees, they're called cast members.
That's right.
Which I think is cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's always funny whenever a church gets really inspired by reading a Disney book and they're like, we're going to call our church staff cast members.
That's right.
And and then then it lasts for 2 months.
2 months, maybe.
And then,
exactly.
Yeah, and then it's no longer. But Disney, if you are a cast member at Disney, if there's any kid at any park, at any theme park, and they use this example in their teaching, and then they wrote a book about it. You know, and basically if there's any kid at any theme park that drops an ice cream cone or drops popcorn or whatever, that a cast member unspokenly always goes up to the crying kid, asks what's wrong, and then gives them for free whatever that thing is that they dropped. Replaces it.
Exactly.
Now that's something that they're not taught.
Right.
It started happening and then it just happened. So I guess it's also uncommunicated expectations.
That's good. That's right.
Right?
It makes sense.
Okay, so secret curriculum to being Arvin's friend.
Oh boy. I had a guy one time be like, bro, we're both on church staffs. He was on a different church staff, and he's like, we should connect and be friends. We have so many mutual passions. And I said, sure, I will let you know, because I'm on the back end of my 20s. I can be your friend, but you have to be intentional.
So you told him your secret curriculum
up front.
So let me
go ahead.
Your secret curriculum is being intentional.
In terms of friendship with me, a person who's unintentional, we're probably not going to get along very well. Now,
I'm sorry for ignoring you.
That's quite all right. No, John's actually one of the most intentional people I've known. Truly, though, for the majority of my life, that was the case, and I didn't even know that, but I would feel rejected by people if they were just lackadaisical. And maybe that person, that was all of college, is like, hey, let's get coffee, let's have lunch, let's do whatever. And now I'm realizing that it will help people a lot if they know that I'm going to be intentional with them. They should be intentional with me. Otherwise, it's probably not going to work.
Love those friends that are like, we should hang out sometime.
Yeah.
And you go, Tuesday, 3:00.
And they go,
ooh. and then the next day they're still going, ooh.
Yeah. They're just driving.
It's
home.
literally like a Family Guy clip. You're like, what?
Exactly.
No, but okay.
Yeah.
So this podcast is talking about the behind the scenes
Yeah.
of our best days. Me and Arvin, we work here at Victory Church.
That's right.
At Victory Church, we have a confession. And I will say the confession is also kind of like a secret curriculum, even though it's public, that if you come to a service at Victory and it's your first time, you may be thrown off when the whole room holds hands, lifts hands up, and they go, our best days are right in front of us, and victory is in my life because Jesus lives in, and everyone chants a confession together. It's like going to a college football game at a certain, like I know certain colleges,
Michigan,
they play Mr. Brightside by the Killers. And if it is your first time at a Michigan football game, once the song comes on by the Killers, everyone goes nuts. Everyone sings a song. You could be sitting there being like, what am I missing? Did they not announce this? That is a secret.
Do you have the lyrics?
Do you have the lyrics? They go, where's the hymn books in front? I'm that guy.
That's funny.
No, but, and so there is just things, they're uncommunicated expectations. It is secret curriculum. And so because this whole podcast is about behind the scenes of church productions, we are blessed we get to write scripts. We're in the middle of doing fall and Christmas script right now.
Totally.
One of our producers, Caleb Toronzo, who's here with us, he creates stories of victory every single week. There is a behind the scenes thing. And he could even tell you that on set, there's just certain things you don't do that Caleb shouldn't have to tell you not to do.
Exactly.
That is a secret curriculum.
100%. Yeah.
You know? And then there's things that you should know to do.
Sure.
That we should not have to tell you.
That's right. Yeah.
So, okay. One of the secret curriculums, for instance, is that, so this is one thing that is unique, but it is in the church world, is that now I believe in praying in tongues.
Yeah, same.
Okay?
Absolutely.
I believe in the Holy Spirit. I believe in praying in tongues. I believe it's needed. In the Bible, there is a scripture that talks about how praying in tongues is for your edification.
Yes, yeah.
Right? It is for you.
Right.
And then interpretation of tongues. All right, we're getting in the gifts of the Spirit.
Sure.
All right, for all
1
of you
Corinthians.
theologians.
Yeah.
That is all that helps people. But if you were to be up on stage and you were to be praying in tongues for 10 minutes, we don't know.
Yeah.
Now, here's a great thing. The positive is you're showing people what tongues sounds like. In this, Victory is a place that we have people that are unchurched, that have not read Corinthians, that haven't even read the Bible. And they think that we are Harry Potter casting spells.
Right.
So if you are a communicator and you're scheduled in Planning Center, to all those people who work behind the scenes, you know what Planning Center is. It is an outline, basically a script of a weekend service. If you are scheduled in Planning Center to do ministry time, which is the transition out of the last worship song where the person who is leading worship, they look at you and they raise their eyebrows, and then you as the communicator know that's when I'm supposed to walk up. And I'm not supposed to walk up sooner because they could be going into a bridge. Like there's certain worship songs you go into a bridge and you are not, and then they're like, no. Or like I have been a part of and been the cause of absolute train wrecks during ministry time of where they were coming to an end of a song, and I thought that, and I go up and I go, ladies and gentlemen, they're like, and I'll stand with arms high and heart abandoned. And then to play along, I try to come in. Now, here's the thing, guys. I don't have an inner ear. Number one, I don't lead worship. Number three, I'm not necessarily a singer. I don't even know the right tune. So I come in and I killed the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit has put on his hat, taken his bag, put it on the shoulder, and he goes, okay, I'm out. And has left the building. I've killed the presence. That is secret curriculum to where before service, you get with that person who is leading that last song, and you go, hey, just so I'm aware, what is this last song? What is it about?
Yeah.
And then usually a transition sentence. We've all been at services or churches to where the song ends and the person goes, hey, we're excited that you're here today. And it's a jerk.
Yeah.
And it's like, literally, I was on a roller coaster going 60 miles an hour and then it stopped.
Boom. Yeah.
I just got whiplash because I was in worship and then you just cut it off completely.
Yeah.
There is a nuanced thing that it's like, man, do we do a workshop where we just tell people these are 2 or 3 transitional sentences that you say after the song. The final song is Jireh.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Lord, more than enough.
Right.
Jireh is, for those of you guys, what does that word even mean? Jehovah Jireh, my provider.
Yeah.
All right, that is one of the names of Jesus.
Yeah.
There's a song, Jireh. That song ends, a sentence would be, and I know this sounds very like listen, I'm not telling you to script what you're being led by God to do, but something would be like, God, we thank you we thank you for your provision for us, that your eye is on us. It is a prayer, some type of a sentence, and then you go, we're so grateful that you're here at church with us this weekend.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
We know that some of you guys came in here today believing for something.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I want to encourage you. Jehovah Jireh is your provider. That's one of the names of Jesus, which means that if Jesus is a living promise, he has made that promise. He's going to provide for you.
Right.
So if you're in here today and you are in need of something, that you came in believing for a miracle, could you raise your hand? And the believers around you, can you just come together?
Right.
And that's what church is about, to pray for those people who are believing for something and to put Jesus in, to put God in remembrance of his scriptures, that he is our provider. That closes out. Then you go into announcements.
Yeah.
That right there,
it's
a smooth transition.
Right.
The secret curriculum to where, and there's been, and just because someone knows the Bible a lot, just because someone leads worship, just because someone is good at talking, does not mean that they're good at transitions. But it is a secret curriculum. Now, that is a behind the scenes thing. You go, that's pretty nuanced. But those of you who are listening or watching this and you are working on church staff, or you are self-aware enough to know, I've been in a service where it has been bad. There's also been moments where we were talking about praying in the Spirit. Again, I believe in praying in tongues. It's not about that. I do it. I believe in it. But if you get up there and you pray in tongues for 5 or 6 minutes, even though I know God is at work, I'm trying to figure out, what's the goal? Like, what's the goal of you doing this?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
You know, I understand if you say it, if you begin to tell people, those of you who are aware of the gifts of the Spirit, if you want to pray in your prayer language, let's go ahead and start praying right now. It's one thing if it is a designated healing service, but telling people, hey, what we're getting ready to do right now, giving them a heads up. That way they're not caught off guard when you start going, you know? But that is a secret curriculum.
Big time.
And you think, I don't necessarily have to tell them that. But I've been in services where someone has gone up and they've prayed in tongues for 5 to 6 minutes. And I invited people who were like, hey, I usually don't go to church, but I can I come? And I go, yeah, sit by me. And they've leaned over and they go, what the boop is that? Literally cussed in my ear. And I go, it's praying. And I've explained it to them. And they enjoyed the service. They were a little thrown off by that.
Sure.
You know, it is one thing if you are in a group, that is just, but like for a service where you know there may be visitors there. Anyways, so today in our podcast, we're talking about those nuanced things about secret curriculum.
Right.
All right. You brought up a secret curriculum yesterday where you were talking about how to come correct. What does that even mean?
That means going about the way you talk to people, the way you handle situations, and especially the way you handle people in authority correctly. So
set it up in a meeting.
Fascinating. Oh yeah, I was in one the other day. Let me share with you.
Tell us. Say names. Gossip.
Yes. No, I was in a meeting the other day, and our pastors in the meeting. We have a bunch of people who are there to help.
Pastor Paul and Ashley.
Yes, exactly. Pastors of Victory Church in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where you're always welcome online as well.
Please.
So we're all in this meeting. We're talking about stuff. And the purpose of the meeting is to present information to him and go, so this is what we were thinking, and to get feedback. So the portion of the meeting we get into where he's now providing feedback, and we're to be taking notes, listening.
So you've already done your pitch.
We've gone, here's what we were thinking, here's what we saw, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. He is now, and we always have a good time. The culture here at Victory is very friendly. I'm wearing a t-shirt at work right now. Most people don't get to do that. So that's just the vibe.
Yeah.
But
relational.
there is a way to come correct where when the purpose of the meeting is occurring, maybe Arvin shouldn't interrupt that.
And interrupt the leader.
Yeah. And so as the feedback's happening, I'm going to use myself as an example. I take on a casual attitude, and I feel the need to comment every time he pauses to take a breath and give and so I'm interrupting his stream of consciousness as he's trying to give feedback about something.
Wait, people do that at church?
Unbelievable. Yeah. I feel like people do it everywhere. Honestly, there could be a lot said about how the art of having a conversation has been lost in modern day. But I'm observing this and I'm being like, that's not what needs to happen. So to come correct in that situation is to simply sit still and listen. Like there are, we've talked about it all the time, like read the room, read correctly where you're at. What's the point of what's happening here? And while everyone's friendly and kind to one another, let's all keep the same goal in mind. And so people don't come correct when the goals are different or when the visions are different, which is the definition of division, two visions or more.
So wait, what does that mean? People don't come together when the visions are different.
People don't come correct when they have a different goal in mind than what the goal is for the group in the room.
So give me an example.
Yeah. So let's say a person goes into a meeting or something, or goes into a new church, goes into a business, whatever. And what needs to happen there is, at least in a church context, this service is going to happen, and we want it to happen smoothly because we're talking to people all over the spectrum of experience with church. Like you said, some people, they've never been to church, it's their first time. Other people have been here 45 years, 40 years of Victory. And so what could happen, let's say a kid like me shows up at 14, like I did, and is like, I want to feel important. I want to boost my own ego. I want to feel like people pay attention to me. So I'm going to interrupt the flow of what's happening here so that I can pitch my idea about how I can feel that way. So I'm not coming correct. And the biggest way people do this, the number one, I can confidently say it, I have receipts if we have the time, the most prevalent way people try to get noticed is they provide negative feedback. They make negative comments. They give negative feedback because if you approach something as though you have permission to like say something negative about it.
So like a service.
Yeah. A sermon, a song, a person's voice, just like the next time you go to a public setting, be it church or somewhere else, a concert or anything, notice the amount of people who were not involved in making any of it happen, who have really dense opinions on what's happening. Not theological differences, but just like, well, I didn't like that. Why? That is a tremendous, consistent thing that happens. And
but what's the difference between that and critique?
Critique, okay, if I'm a plumber, I can critique other plumbing. But if I'm not a singer, like I personally, that's not my gift. I have zero qualms about it. It doesn't hurt my feelings. When I'm in a service, I'm maybe softly singing and I'm worshiping that way. But I will never, ever have an opinion on another singer. Even if I hear it and I go, oh, that's okay. Maybe that could have been better. But that's not how I'm going to.
Oh, that's not how you're going. So even if you feel something, you don't necessarily have to say it.
That's right.
Especially if you are, wow, that was big. Let's all say this together. If I feel something, it doesn't always mean that I have to say it. Okay.
Yeah. That is how to come correct.
Okay.
Secret curriculum.
So in the Bible, Okay, so in the Bible, there's the story of Jesus going to the top of this mountain. It's called the Mountain of Transfiguration, where God himself comes down in a cloud.
Yeah,
Who
huge.
else comes with God?
Moses is on one side, Elijah is on the other side.
Yeah. So like
Wild.
This is in the Bible. That's why the Bible is so cool.
Yeah.
Jesus is on top of this mountain. God descends. Moses and Elijah descend.
Yeah.
They're standing there. Jesus is with his disciples. God is talking. God, like G-O-D is talking.
Yeah.
And Peter goes, Jesus, I got a great idea. What if we build a monument and an altar for you right here about this really cool moment?
Yeah.
He probably didn't talk like that.
Yeah, like Mike Birbiglia.
But God literally shut down Peter.
Yeah.
And was like, shut up.
Not right now. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, not right now.
Yeah.
Kept going.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Imagine being Peter. Jesus told you to get behind him, Satan.
Yeah.
And then God was like, please stop.
Cool.
Like, hand on chest was like, hey, shut
bud. He used the word bud.
He goes, hey, bud.
In the Greek, it said...
the Greek term, God goes, hey, bud, why don't you let us handle this?
Yeah. I'm doing something way better. Yeah.
But in Peter's mind, he probably thought, this is how I can add value.
Sure.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes, like, the situation does not call for your value.
Right.
You are valuable.
Right.
But it doesn't call for...
You don't have... In fact, if you believe you're valuable, maybe you won't constantly be trying to prove it all the time. So that's where the circles come
really
in.
Good.
There is the central thing that's happening in a room, and then there's the group of people around it who tend to provide criticism and critique. But that's an outward thing, and if you ever want to be involved in what's really happening, you have to exit the outer row of sitting there like this, being like, well, I'm better than all this. And it's like, well, okay, that's great. But are we supposed to sit here and listen to you have every opinion you have about what we think and do?
Yeah.
While you, by the way, usually are not doing anything. There is a proper way to go from the outer row of being a critic. There's a quote from a president that talks about that. The being a critic on the outside to enter actually in being involved in what's going on.
That's
you
true.
have to come correct. And to learn how to do that, it's nuanced. It's a secret curriculum. You have to pay attention.
Okay. So how would you, so for all of our listeners, viewers, so like, how would you go about that? I know some of you guys are going, okay, so what if I am in disagreement with a leader?
Yeah.
And, we're in the middle of a meeting.
Sure.
Whatever.
Sure.
What should I do? What should I do? How should I come correct?
I've learned this from a few years of experience now. I know I'm still quite young, but I have learned this. I've found success with this. You can... With a healthy leader, which thankfully we have, you can disagree. But the fact that you might be right about this thing and they might be wrong does not all of a sudden grant you permission to operate as though you're an authority over them. I've seen it happen. I've made that mistake before.
Okay. Say that one more time, but slower.
You and I are talking. John is in leadership over me. He runs the productions. He is my boss. The reason we're able to have a friendship is because I'll never forget that. I never operate the other way around. So there have been times where we're looking at a script or a scene and the dialogue has been pitched a specific way.
And Arvin wrote it really good and I didn't necessarily understand it, or I was like, I like my idea better. And then when I bring it to you,
sure, I go, I first of all, I'm open-handed, because if John says, I want it to be like this, then it's fine with me that it's going to be that way. So one, I'm not attached, my value and worth isn't attached to what that line of dialogue ends up being. Over time, as we've built relationship and trust, I have learned I can gently be like, I will ask first. I do not assume that it's my turn to happen to the room. I ask, can I share with you why I did that in the first place? And 10 times out of 10, John says, yeah, what up? So I will then share, well, because of page 14 and page 31, we're kind of weaving this idea. And so this line of dialogue in context looks like this. So having heard that now, John, what do you think? And it's happened many times where John goes, that makes sense. So there's a purpose for it. The reason our scripts get better and better, and I believe they do, is because in so doing, if there's ever, and it happens all the time, where there's a line of dialogue or something that it's there because it's there. There wasn't like a thread. So by us having that conversation, if there's something there that's movable, it's not like holding up the entire story, we should move it. Yeah. And so I go, oh, you're right. And it happens every single time. There's like dozens of examples where the thing that actually ended up being the best part, the thing that most people remember about the production, came from John going, can we switch that around? Can we move that around? So knowing that, accepting that, anytime we get into that example, I'm very open-handed. So this is the lesson here. Be open-handed about the result. It's not your responsibility. Then dress your opinion and perspective in respect and honor. That's how you come correct. Not just to your pastor, but to your spouse, to your friends. You will distinguish yourself from the rest of modern society if you clothe your opinions and your approach to things in respect and honor.
Yeah. And here's the thing. You may be right. Arvin was right. In fact, in looking back, this is something for those of you who are maybe you're over a department. Please do not be intimidated by talent. Recruit it.
Yeah. Wow.
There are leaders that hire. So I simultaneously, I also work in the school side. That's right. I work with strength and conditioning. And I train middle school to high school athletes of different coaches of different sports. Yeah. So we'll do tennis and volleyball and then football. So I love it. It is something that fills my bucket that is totally different from what I'm doing in the creative world. But what I have seen is certain head coaches that have a budget to hire assistant coaches. They hire, I'm sorry, Lord forgive me, they hire ding-dongs. Literal people that I'm like, wait, this person knows nothing about the sport. Right. But the head coach has said, the head coach tells them what to do and then they just do it. Sure. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So you just want yes men. Wow. You're actually intimidated if you were to hire someone. I'm using this allegory. Now, this has not happened within the last few years, but a few years ago, there was an individual that we had who was a brilliant head coach of a certain sport. Yeah. He did everything and he wanted his hand in everything, even things that he was not good at. He was like, oh, we're going to do this, this, and this. And even some of the students that he was coaching were like, kind of looked at him sideways and were like, really? And he goes, yep, this way. And because he hired those other people, it was like, well, okay. You know, I'm just kidding. They didn't talk like that. They're actually really great people. Yeah. And when I say ding-dongs within that field, I'm sure God has a specific calling on their life to, work something else. I don't think coaching was the specific purpose for their life. Sure. Anyways, sorry, that was very mean, but at least I'm being honest.
No,
okay.
It's true. Absolutely.
So this is behind the scenes. Come on, guys. So I say that to where my goal, if I'm wanting to advance the overall vision of the creative department or whatever I'm doing, I'm like, if I can find someone who is better at something than I do, I'm going to, if I can't hire them, I'm going to ask them to serve, or I'm going to outsource them for something, or I'm going to be like, hey, I need you to do this. Yeah. Because I care more about the end result than I do. Obviously, I will say this. I do have selfish moments where I'm like, I want my way. But overall, I want the end result more. Right. And so this is, I'm saying this, guys, just so you know, I talk in rabbit trails and then I come back around. So this is a rabbit, but I'm coming back around right now. Okay, are you ready? Yeah. All right. So we had this Easter production in, it was April 2022. We did 33 AD. Yeah. I wrote the script of 33 AD. This was one of those times where we reutilized a script that we did about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Arvin redid the dialogue, and redid the story structure. I absolutely loved the old story structure and how it was of 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
The first time we met, as I'm reading through the script, it is different. It's different than what I had originally had, you know, and I was like, hey, I want you to read through this and relook at the structure and da-da-da. So he did it. The first presentation, it took me a good 30 to 45 minutes. The first time I was like, we're going to change this, this, and this, and why this, why that, why this, why that. As he began explaining it to me, Arvin was like, now here's the thing. I am the leader over this production.
Yeah.
But then as Arvin began explaining it to me, I was like, this has the potential to be better than what we did 5 years ago. It's different, and it's not what I expected.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't like it, and I don't like it because it's not what I expected. It's not that I didn't like it because it wasn't good. I didn't like it because it wasn't what I expected.
Right.
And I think leaders have to know the difference.
Absolutely.
If you are a leader over any department, you have to know, do I not like it because it's not mine, because it's not what I expected? Or do I not like it because it's genuinely not good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So anyways, so we came to that moment, and then we made a few tweaks, but we went with Arvin's direction, dialogue, structure for Easter, and it was the best thing we ever did.
Wow.
So I am like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
But it did come to me that first time we met at that coffee shop,
Absolutely.
Lagom Coffee, and I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I like it.
Which on my end, I remember that meeting and being very gentle, because I don't get to decide how what I'm suggesting will be interpreted. I don't get to control that. So that's why my tone and the way I approached it was very gentle, because it was a suggestion. And had you said, no, we're going to do what we did in 2017, I would then, because I fear God and I love what I do, I would jump into gear and do everything I could to make that
Not because you're a yes man.
No, because I'm a yes man to God.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
There's a person like me, or anyone who's watching this, to be human is to endeavor to have ambition, to aspire to be big.
Does anyone listening this or watching this, do any of you have ambition?
Yeah.
And those of you who have ambition, are you someone that is not necessarily the boss? Okay, this is for you, so just listen.
There are two ways to get quote unquote big. You can either allow God to actually break open your soul and enlarge it over time with hard work, with submission to the leadership and authority in the church he's placed you in. You can do it that way, or you can try to make your current leader look small so that you feel big. So I've watched it in businesses. I've watched it in churches, not at Victory, thank God. I've watched people try to elevate themselves by shrinking their leaders.
And it could even be to people who work for, like, if I'm a department head.
Sure.
And okay, so we work in a creative department, right? I'm a department head. Underneath me are branding designers. We have a conference coming up. We go, hey, this is what we're thinking about the conference. And for Victory Conference, we have not had a theme. You know how like some conferences has themes, like let the whole earth rejoice, or it's some scripture or vision or whatever. We haven't had a theme, so we've actually been going with colors as opposed to like an actual theme.
Yeah, patterns.
You know, colors, patterns. So we have our designers. They go all in and they make a design. We bring it to Pastor Paul and Ashley. I really, really loved the design because I was involved in it.
Sure.
You know, hands-on, telling them, oh, do this. Oh, let's do this color. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, this is what we have for conference. We're going to do this. And then now here's another unique dynamic is that Pastor Paul is also my brother, my younger brother. And so I'm older than him. So I'm coming to him and I'm like, hey, this is what we are super pumped about for Victory Conference. Check out these mood boards.
Sure.
This is the design. And then Pat, I'm not saying this happened. This is an allegory.
Sure.
Okay. Or example.
Yeah.
I send this to Pastor Paul. Now a version of this has happened, but not this exact story. And he says, I actually don't like it. I don't like the colors or the font. What if we did something like this? And he does something that I don't like.
Yeah.
And to Pastor Paul's face, I go, okay, yeah. Then I go back to the designers whom I want to be cool with because I'm a department head and I'm the cool mom. Have you guys ever seen Mean Girls?
Absolutely. Amy Poehler
in Mean Girls. She's like, I'm the cool mom.
Yeah.
So I have that vibe, the Amy Poehler, Mean Girls, cool mom vibe.
Right.
And I go back and I go, exasperate, breathe all the air, all of the carbon dioxide out of my body. I go,
yeah.
So,
yeah.
Pastor doesn't like the designs. I know. And honestly, he wants to do this. And I suck my teeth. I go, it's really like 2018, type of graphic vibes, but let's do it for him.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I've planted a seed in those designers that think my boss knows better than the lead pastor.
Right.
And now it's difficult for them to sit in service because they're like, that lead pastor turned down an idea that I worked really hard for as a designer.
Right.
And my lead pastor just doesn't understand art.
Yeah. Wow.
That's secret curriculum.
That's right. Yeah.
So
that's really
if you
good.
have done that, it is not too late to go to your department and go, hey, I've said several things about our leader and pastor. I want to ensure you that I back him 100%, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, there have been times where me and my brother have been in knockdown, drag out fights.
Sure.
Yes, I have cussed at him. So sue me, and I've been very angry and upset, but it has been to him.
Yeah.
And then by the time we walk out of that office, it is, forgive me. I was wrong. You really hurt my feelings. I was so angry at you and I still disagree with you.
Sure.
And Paul's like, I love you. Thank you so much. My brother, Paul, and I know it's not like this at every, but within this dynamic, and he was like, and it's okay if you disagree with me.
Right.
I'm not saying that, and I know it's different in different ministries,
Sure.
but he's like, I know you disagree with me, but I thank you so much for doing this. I will not bring that up to anybody that works underneath me. Now, I'm totally saying a podcast about it, but I'm telling you guys, that is secret curriculum.
Right.
If you want to last,
Right.
that's only if you want to last.
Yeah.
So those of you who are working in ministry or even in organization,
Absolutely.
if you are somewhat of a believer, if you believe in God, then you believe that God elevates you in due time. He's going to meet your needs.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone else to.
Right.
And here's the thing, you don't even need yourself to.
That's right. Wow.
Does that make sense? Like, you're not
Exactly.
going to have to force yourself into anything. And if Pastor Ashley said something, and we've said this in another podcast, Pastor Ashley said this in an all staff, she goes, whatever you manipulate, you will have to maintain.
That's right.
So let's just say, whatever I manipulate, if I'm trying to hire someone and they're saying, hey, this is what I'm expecting, and I tell them in the interview, hey, we can't get that to you right now, but we will get that to you. This is what your starting pay is. I hire them. They're going to be coming to me every month. Hey, you said this. Is that going to happen?
Wow.
And me being like, you see, I manipulated something. When from the very beginning, I go, hey, you need to be where God calls you to be. This is what we're able to offer. We can't do any more.
Right.
I want you to feel at peace. If we're not the fit totally understand.
Right.
Make it easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I think a secret curriculum, even for a leader that is underneath a leader, is that you can always learn how not to do things by watching the creative director in heaven, Lucifer,
Wow.
the fallen angel.
Yeah.
He was gifted. He was talented.
Totally.
He was in second command. And so we even talked about it in season 1 of Behind the Scenes of Our Best Days, is that the first creative director in the world was Lucifer.
Yeah.
He is creative. He is a director. He even took people with him when he left the church.
Right. Yeah.
But he is Lucifer.
Totally.
And he will spend an eternity in hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm just letting you know, regardless how gifted and talented you are, you will serve someone.
Yeah.
And within that, a secret curriculum is how to come correct. What are some other things?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, we're so in on how to come correct today that I feel like it's dense enough to chew on.
But like within that track.
Absolutely. It encompasses just about everything. It's another word for culture, basically. Like the culture of a place, the culture of your life is stuff that you can state the phrase like respect authority, but letting that authority figure speak and understanding and correct, that is how you come correct. So you shouldn't have to tell someone that. That's the thing that you observe over time as you just stick around. So it's helpful to come in patient, come in eager to learn.
Yeah.
And even if you've been given the best possible thing. I remember the twist with Judas at Son of Heaven in 2021. It was 2015 when I had that idea. But when we got to when I started at Victory in 2018, I didn't tell anybody that. I waited until the time was right, and then we even talked about it for 2020. Thankfully, 2020 was a different vibe. So the point I want to get to as we land the plane for this podcast episode today is that when you really believe that God gave you the ideas, the dreams, the visions, the destiny that you have, you'll be patient for it. If you think it's something you have to take and use to hopefully get yourself a position, to get yourself to be impressive to the right people, you're not fully convinced yet that God is going to sustain you, which means that let's say you get everything you want and all of a sudden you're there. Oh boy.
Yeah. Remember, what you manipulate, you have to
maintain.
And that is where people get burned out. And when you get burned out, you get tired. And that's when you start falling into wild temptations and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyways, this sounds like a cautionary tale podcast, but we're saying this because we want you to understand that we don't have it figured out. There are still things that I don't understand, that I thought that no shoes, no shirt, no service was something in the 80s. I just got kicked out of 2 different restaurants because my kids walked in without shirts or shoes.
Yeah.
I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
And like literally the lady was like, "Sir, this is a Chili's." And they have to wear clothes. And I was like, and I told her, I go, "Well, it's not on the door." And she goes, "Are you serious? Your sons are here without shoes or shirts." And I was like, "But there's no one in Chili's tonight."
Yeah.
And she was like, "The whole reason why I was in Chili's, that's a whole nother podcast. I need therapy." But let me tell you, we are still learning secret curriculums everywhere.
Absolutely.
But the reason why we wanted to tell you guys this is because we really believe that this can help you. So let us know, comment, message us on the U@BC, and we even have a YouTube now, Victory Productions YouTube, that we've uploaded several snippets of small creative things that we've done in the past. Check it out, subscribe, click, let us know what you think. Hey, thank you for tuning in.
Guys.
We love you.
See you next time.